Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here with day 70 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show. The morning talk show where we go over Magic the Gathering. We do Q&A and deck list review. So if you have questions, hopefully I've got the answers. We have great discussions on this channel every single day. Well, every single weekday. We have a lot of fun checking and finding really nice golden nuggets out of Decklist. A lot of people submit a lot of interesting brews, and if you need some clarity, take your deck to a higher level, make it into something competent. If you got an idea that needs to move in the right direction, submit it, and both the community and myself can give the feedback to help me move in the right direction. So good morning to everybody showing up this wonderful, beautiful morning. M515, gonna publicly thank you for being the first tier 3 sub on this channel. You got the first badge on Twitch, but unfortunately, I'm still working on the emote. I've got the I have the badge already for tier 3, but Twitch won't let me submit it unless I've already made the tier 2. So I'm still working on it, but thank you very much for moving to tier 3. My first tier 3, it's moving so fast. My Twitch career is just moving too quickly for me to keep up. Gibby420, good morning, Fish Fam. Good morning, Bishark. And good morning. Yes, the chubby emotes are here. I don't know what am I going to do for an emote at tier 3. I already know what I'm going to do for tier 2. It's supposed to be my brother's 321. Where is that emote? He hasn't submitted to me. I told him make an emote 321. Or should I give the 1? Should I give the 3 to the tier 1 subs, the 2 to the tier 2 subs, and then the 1 to the tier 3 subs? Let me know. You have to be depending on your sub level, you get to know how many number emotes you have. But maybe I'll do that when I get like to partner and I have access to like 1 million emotes. For now, it's just going to be all in one emote. So yeah, good morning, Lord Magicus. Good morning, Biggleman. I love this Chubby Meatball emote. It's so cute. So cute. Everyone gets to enjoy Chubby Meatball just as much as I do. Good morning, Kioma MTG. So yes, let us start the discussion. We do this, of course, if you want to be part of the action, you want to be part of the discussion live, don't forget that we do this on twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG, Mondays to Fridays, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. That will still be the time for the foreseeable future for August. Definitely is probably going to change. It's definitely going to change in September when I'm still in school, but when I get into my fall schedule for school, it's going to collide with classes, so we're probably going to have an earlier time going into September. Just giving a heads up, probably is going to be something like 7 or 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have to see when my schedule is fully created. I vote for Kitty Beans for tier 3. That is actually cute. That's a cute idea. Good morning. I paid 480 channel points for this. Oh yeah, you can pay channel points for the emotes. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to the channel points because I hear you're farming thousands of channel points. So I have to like raise the point. I think the channel points thing is set really low for like the new streamers, but I started off as like a really big streamer right out of the gate. So all of you have like thousands of Twitch dollar points basically. Howdy, Brewski returns. Can we talk about how Nikachu left the room for 1 minute and the brother won the game in his absence? Oh, where's that clip? How do I find that clip? Well, so what ended up happening is I left for one of the leagues. I think that was last week, right? So that was last week. I leave for, I don't know, I go to the washroom. Maybe did I go to McDonald's? I can't remember what happened. My brother, and in that time, my brother goes to the tournament practice area and basically plays turn 2 spreading seas on the opponent's only colored mana source, and they just scooped. They scooped. They had nothing. They knew they were screwed from there. They knew they were screwed. Just shows how often you can win with spreading seas. I'm not entirely certain, but I think my brother has blundered before in the tournament practice area, and then my opponent just conceded out of like frustration. That might have been the time that my brother first played online. They like spreading seas. My brother spreading seas his own land. And the opponent's like, well, screw this opponent. This is a waste of my time. I'm done. Goodbye. Darjupa, hello, good morning. Up past the dawn says, I just read that Coco will come to Arena together with the Amonkhet update. What would that make you interested in playing Historic Fish again? Absolutely. I am not abandoning the Historic format. We're definitely going to go back to Historic. I just didn't like how I was playing some Modern, some Arena, some Modern, some Arena, and then just like having a watered down idea of both formats. So when I go back to Arena, I want to like play like maybe 2 weeks worth of Arena and basically spend more time grinding up the ladder instead of just like playing a little bit of both. I really don't like how I get like a crappy feel of both formats. And Coco definitely, I'm definitely going to test that card. I assume it's going to be really good in the merfolk deck, but in addition, it's probably going to be good in a lot of other decks though. Coco is going to make a really big deal. So if anyone doesn't know what Coco is, some people out there must be like, what the hell is a Coco? Coco is Collected Company. So Collected Company, the 4-mana instant, look at the top 6 cards of your library, put up to 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Very popular card amongst like green white value decks, also elf decks, just like spirits. Bant Spirits has used this card. So Collected Company is a big game changer for the creature based decks. And what makes this card a bigger killer going into Historic is that Teferi Time Raveler is banned, so we don't have to deal with this card anymore. If Teferi was around, Collected Company would still be a good card, but I don't think it'd be OP or anything like that. But now without Teferi Time Raveler sort of policing Collected Company, although Teferi obviously policed a lot of cards outside of just Collected Company. I think Collected Company decks are going to be really good, and whoever is the best Collected Company deck is really going to storm the format. So Collected Company, one of the most impactful cards. I heard like another card that's getting reprinted or printed into Historic, Pact of Negation. A lot of people are fearing this card. You have nothing to be afraid of. I think this card is going to see 0 play, basically. I mean, you look at Modern and Legacy. You have to be like this really glass cannon combo deck to be able to utilize this card. And I don't know if there are any decks in Historic that could do a good job of playing this. So like, it's going to be a tool. Make no mistake, for some combo deck that eventually gets found, but like it requires, it's best used in a combo deck that basically wins the moment their spell resolves, like Ad Nauseam, and in some cases Amulet Titan, where the Titan will resolve, enters the battlefield, farm out a bunch of lands and get even more lands after they attack again for the next turn. So paying for the Pact isn't even a big deal. So this is not really I don't think anyone should be afraid that this card is getting reprinted. I don't think it's actually a big deal. Maybe, can anyone send a link to all the reprints? Maybe we can talk about that today. Yes, Kitty Beans for tier 3. Meatball, where are we here? Meatball Beans or Bust. Kitty Beans are always cute. Good morning, Tempo Mage. Good morning, 101 Nick. Good morning, SetBit0, 101 Nick. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. Oh, okay, so Lord Magicus has the clip. Where is it? Where is this clip? Can I show it? All right, everyone watch the magic. This is my brother stealing the computer while I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know where I am right now. But it's going to be a genius play by my brother. This is one of his finest victories. He's up against, I have no idea. But one of those lands do not add mana. That's for sure. Oops.
I don't know why he doesn't just play with islands and forests. It's too risky with all these. Like you see a lot of decks, multicolored decks, they play with a lot of basics and they get there. They get their combo off and they get their thing going.
Can anyone hear this?
They get it with just basics. You should just try that.
Just play with basics, people. Just play with basics.
I don't know what's the better thing. Hold up. Cancel.
Cancel. Backspace. Get out of there.
Whatever. You. Goodbye. Mad.
Well, you better believe the opponent's mad. I wonder what the opponent's thinking here. Like, are they just steaming out of their mind?
He might resign. Maybe this is too much. Yeah, okay.
The whole match. Whole match decided off of one Spreading Seas.
This is the best card in the game. Best card in the game.
Spreading Seas, the best card in the game. Nikachu's brother, 2020. You heard it here first, folks. Or yeah, you heard it second. This isn't a live recording. There was a live recording, that's for sure. How are all of you today? Do you know what? Action clings to coffee for dear life. Yes, absolutely, Mandy Shines. If it wasn't for this coffee, I would be a pile of mush this morning. I need my coffee, and I'm gonna make sure I fill myself up because I have some gameplay to do later today. Bro almost clicked the colorless source instead of the colored source. I know, but he knew better. Fortunately, on Magic the Gathering Online, they do the that's why they make it the dual lands very colorful in the text box. Help out players like my brother. I often get stuck on 2 lands on Arena. That it's noticeable. Does that happen in Magic the Gathering Online? You can get stuck on 1 land on Magic the Gathering Online. Magic the Gathering Online, I believe, has the more pure randomization because you can get like 5 card hands and 5 land hands, 6 land hand, 1 landers, no landers very often. Whereas on Arena, it's not pure random. What they do is they give you the best of the variances. So between a hand that has too many lands or too few, they try to give you something in the middle. Or if anyone has more input on that, how exactly they cherry pick your hands, you can let me know in the comments section because I don't. I know there is a more precise method of what Wizards does, but I may not. I just know that overall it tries to give you a better balance of hands instead of getting mana screwed or mana flooded. Yeah, need your cup of magic. If it's coffee, tea, Slurpee. Gotta love your Slurpees. Today is not a Slurpee day. My God, it's freezing cold out today. You can see I've got the sweater on. I woke up and it's just freezing cold in my condo. Definitely a hot drink day for me. I don't see cocoa being enough to make fish actually good. Well, we're going to have to see what happens. I'm a fan of cocoa. I'm a big fan of cocoa. I think it's better to have cocoa than not have cocoa, especially since we don't run Ether Vial. Spreading Seas your own land is a big brain play. Opponent timed out in the match trying to think of a counterplay. What do you think of MTG Taverns video? I actually think it was pretty informative about some of the things that he said about Living End, especially about how the opponent was playing out their Street Wraith early on in the game, and that actually implies that they're digging for lands. It's more of a sign of a desperation play, if anything else, very early on in the game. But I found some of his evaluations a little awkward. There were situations where he credited his opponent for, making a bad play. Then all of a sudden it's a good play. Then all of a sudden, it was a bad play. Then all of a sudden it's a good play. But then the opponent didn't actually win the game, and it did not actually achieve a winning board state. So, but aside from that, I think the analysis from the living end perspective was really, really good, and I think any living end player should watch that video because it goes over a lot of important nuanced plays that a living end player should make. For example, forcing me to crack a relic, and then after I do that, living end is still on the stack, so dump more creatures into the graveyard for living end to resolve, and then that's like a very good way to play around the card. I still would do the same thing that I did in that game, because the point is that I was criticized for playing a relic on turn 2, not baiting a removal spell on it. But my problem is in these living end matches, and by the way, I could still be totally wrong about this. I could still totally be wrong about this. I know maybe people don't see it, but the situation is I have a relic and a Chalice of the Void in my hand. Now, MTG Tavern recommends I play Relic of Progenitus on turn 1 to bait a removal spell on it, like Nikachu, so that I have Chalice of the Void available to play on 0 the next turn, and it's not going to be interacted with. Now, my problem with this line is that if I go Relic first, Nikachu, then I play Chalice, usually the opponent can find another answer to this Chalice. They'll just dump creatures into they'll cycle all the way to their to another like Beast Within or another Nikachu, get rid of the Chalice, and now the graveyard is full. And then when they living end, I'm dead. Whereas what I did is I played Relic on turn 2, holding up a mana so that I could at least crack Relic and get some value out of it, or at least exile the graveyard. And I played Chalice on 0 at the same time. Now, what that ended up happening is my opponent Nikachu'd the Chalice of the Void, but I still had an active Relic eating up the graveyard. And it was impactful because there was a point where my opponent living ended and there was only one creature in the graveyard. And I actually agree that I should just let that living end resolve, and I probably can race this one creature. And another thing that leads me to take this line is that I didn't have an aggro hand. I was a control player in this game completely. I had like no pressure on the battlefield whatsoever. So I could understand, baiting Relic first, playing Chalice second, if I have like a turn 4 clock on the battlefield and maybe race my opponent from finding an answer to the Chalice. But as the game is, my clock is like 6 or 7 turns away from winning, especially if I account for, things like Shriekmaw that are probably going to get played as well. I was very far from winning the game. Although I have to admit, I might have underestimated the power of Smuggler's Copter in that game. Sorry if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about. But my game between myself and a living end player was evaluated by a proficient living end player from MTG Taverns, the YouTube channel. You can go check him out, check out his analysis. So I would, from the merfolk perspective, I would still do the same thing. And maybe it's because I'm very passive and I've always been criticized for that, but I would still do the same thing. And I got the W despite, apparently playing ass backwards, but I won in the way that as I understood the matchup, and I would do the same thing again. I would do the same thing again. Because from my perspective, if I take the line of Relic first, it dies, and then Chalice of the Void, graveyard is still intact for the rest of the game unless I find another Relic. And then if the Chalice dies, which generally will happen if I don't have a fast hand, which I didn't, I'm just super dead to the next living end. But thanks for the question. It's an interesting thing to debate. Cocoa is for coconuts. I wonder if there's Cocoa Vampires deck in Historic. I mean, it's possible. There's a lot of stuff. Like, what can I say? There's a lot of decks that have not been fully explored. I mean, we just had like 5 color elementals pretty much come into existence over the last few months, including the part where Elves has more lords than pretty much any other tribe in Historic. Is that the case right now? I think best Cocoa is Elves Cocoa. They have that many lords right now. I mean, I can believe it. That's for sure. I haven't really looked at the Elves deck, but where am I with the stream manager? Oh, what is going on here? Zor's gifting subs all over the damn place. Gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Thank you very much, Zors. That's very generous of you. Where's my brand? Where's my thank you? Thank you very much, Zors. Can I find the can I find, does it show? Oh, it doesn't show the gifting here on this client that I'm on. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, someone just subscribed. This is what I can see here, but I can see that Zors gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Thank you very much, Zors. I really appreciate it. Where would we be without Zors? So okay, so where am I in the discussion? But yeah, if Coco Elves might be the best like Lord deck, because I know they do have quite a few elves. What do they have? I think they have Archdruid in Historic, and they should have Clan Caller. And what's the other one that they have? So what are all the lords that they have? They have Clan Caller, Elvish Archdruid, and the Forest Walk Lord, Elvish Champion. Right. All right, they're the Lord deck. Maybe we're gonna play elves on this channel. Maybe we're gonna play elves. No, I'm not doing that. I'd switch to slivers if they make enough slivers. I'm so hungry to play slivers. I want to play some slivers here. Okay, where am I now? Coco is only as good as what you're cocoing into, and other tribes still have better things to coco into. I still debate this. Like, I don't agree with this line of thought. I mean, I think 4 mana, instant speed, 2 cards in 1 spell is still worth it. If I'm in top deck mode and I have a lot of mana, I would rather draw Coco than just like one of my other random creatures. So Coco increases threat density without actually having to add extra like cards into the deck, and also helps you play around sweepers and counter spells. It basically gives you access to instant speed creatures where you normally wouldn't. I mean, of course, ideally you got good stuff to coco into, and some coco decks are definitely going to be better than others. But I still take the stance that coco can be played basically in any deck that can utilize it. Like if you have enough creatures, you can play coco, because it gives you access to instant speed creatures that you normally wouldn't have, and increases your threat density and all that other strategic stuff. I'm more concerned about Anger of the Gods. Well, you can play around that with Coco, and sometimes if you have enough lords, it's good enough. Good morning, Thomas. Niels Nielsen says, I have been thinking about that some cards is only good in the right for format. What cards do you think sees a lot of play in modern but will be bad in a standard environment? Here's a classic example of this. Oops. This is a great example of what you're talking about. Deathrite Shaman, busted, ban-worthy in modern, ban-worthy in legacy, saw very little play in standard when it was standard playable. In fact, it was like a sideboard card to play against other reanimator decks because there was no fetch lands in the format. And I mean, we sort of see the same thing with Pioneer. Deathrite Shaman sees very little to no play. I mean, I think it's starting to see some play. I think, what's his name? Yellow Hat was playing with some Deathrite Shamans in his Niv Mizzet deck, 5-color Niv Mizzet. So it's starting to see, it's seeing some play, but it's not to the velocity of like when it was in a format with fetch lands in Legacy and Modern. So this is a really prime example of a card that it needs the enablers. I mean, you can even look at cards like Narcomoeba. So Narcomoeba was in standard, didn't see any play, but of course sees play in modern in like not only Dredge, maybe that, like, what's it called? What's the self-milling deck? The Vengevine deck. Maybe other people have really good examples. What are modern cards? Here's where everyone can be part of this discussion. What are modern cards that see like no play in standard because it needs the right format to be enabled. Yeah, Crabvine was that, and there's other cards. Yeah, like what was Merfolk Secret Keeper? Like this is a card. Sees play in modern, not big play, but sees basically no play in standard, right? Rossbox, Nikachu, did you see the modern challenge 8 to 9 first place list posted in Discord? I did not see it. I have not seen it yet. I heard that the results came out, but I have not seen it. Matter Reshaper didn't really see play in standard, only sees playing E-Tron now. There were some Tron, I wouldn't say there were Tron decks, there were some Eldrazi decks in standard. I remember there was a mono blue Eldrazi deck that existed. You could say that it saw way more play in modern. But I'm curious, what saw like, well, okay, that's fair. Matter Reshaper. This is a card saw way more play in modern than it did in standard. Because like Deathrite Shaman did see play in standard, but like fringe sideboard play, you know? Doesn't Merfolk have a bunch of cards that didn't see play in Ixalan standard? That's a really good point. Okay, so let's look at Merfolk Mistbinder, for example. Like the Merfolk cards in standard didn't see play. They saw some play. Like what's his name? Raphael Levy did. I don't know. He went like 8-9 at the Pro Tour with Merfolk, but only because he played against the same matchup over and over and over again, and it was like a good matchup for Merfolk. But for the most part, the Merfolk deck really suffered in standard because of Chain Whirler. Chain Whirler just made this unplayable. Like a lot of the Merfolk in the Merfolk deck, like Silvergill Adapt and like basically anything surrounding, like we only have one Lord, the Merfolk Mistbinder. Goblin Chain Whirler just made Merfolk unplayable, basically. And Mono Red was still like one of the best decks in standard. So that is a really good example of and Chain Whirler doesn't really see play in modern. It sees like some play in Legacy, but basically Chain Whirler is a card that prevented Merfolk from being playable. So that, yeah, it depends on the format. It depends on the context of the format. Some cards can be better, some cards can be worse based on context. I think Chain Whirler was the quintessential reason why Merfolk didn't have like any presence, because like we had some powerful rollouts. We definitely did, but like if you ever played Merfolk against Mono Red, which was one of the best decks in the format, I mean, you just get wiped away when they play this Chain Whirler. It is so bad. I think it was, well, that could be debated, but I think Chain Whirler was a very big reason for Merfolk's inability to survive in that format, because a lot of our cards had 1 toughness. If you play like Silvergill Adept, they go Chain Whirler, I mean, you're just tempoed out. You're never winning that game. I think we had good cards. What? That's why Raphael Levy went like 8-9 in the Pro Tour. I can't remember his exact record, but it was like a really strong record. But it couldn't beat matchups like this. Just didn't have a chance. Emery is a good example of good in old formats that's not great in standard. That's a good point. Let's look at Emery. This is a card that needs the right enablers. So, I mean, if you have enough good artifacts in your deck, then Emery is going to be like OP. Emery takes advantage of a card pool that's large enough that you can everything that you dump in the graveyard is going to be valuable to bring back. Emery is literally Lurrus. It's Lurrus for basically 1 mana. Basically, because ideally your deck is full of artifacts that can get Emery into play pretty easily. Now, you can't immediately get the artifact out, but because you can ramp Emery into play, you might be able to dodge some removal before you may be able to get Emery into play before your opponent's removal is online. Not to mention, I mean, your opponent needs to activate Revolt in order to get Fatal Push on this thing. Will you ever try Merfolk and Pioneer? Navy asks. I will. I mean, I've done it before, but I'm actually much further into the Spirits direction. I think Spirits does a very similar thing as Merfolk. However, if I would play Merfolk and Pioneer, it'd probably be Mono Blue Devotion, because that's much closer to what I want Merfolk to do. Let's see. So, like, yeah, Emery is a very, very good example of a card that, like Emery is a card that needs synergy, and Standard does not have enough cards to enable the synergy of Emery. Do you think blue-white spirits or Bant Cocoa spirits will be better in Historic? Probably Bant. Probably. If the mana is there, if the mana base is there, probably Bant. I think having access to Collected Company is going to be a massive advantage to the Spirits deck. A huge advantage. So I imagine it could go either way. So if there's still a lot of aggressive red decks and your life total matters, maybe going blue-white is going to be more important. But I have a feeling, especially since we don't have all the spirits yet, that Cocoa Spirits is going to be the way to go so that you increase the threat density of the deck. So everyone who's just joining us right now, this is Coffee and MTG with Nikachu. We are having great discussions today talking about standard cards that are powerhouses in Modern and Legacy that don't see any play in Standard because it requires the right environment. Just love to give a shout out and thanks while I have all your attention to my sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. They do great content on Commander, Standard, Modern, Limited, and have giveaways. Go check them out at themanabase.com. And I'd also love to thank Mana Traders, the premier place for renting cards online. And you can support the channel by using my link in the description below to subscribe to their service, or you can sign up with my coupon code Nikachu to get 20% off your first 3 months. We're going to thank Mana Traders for being our sponsor. Let us go. Let us continue. So hold on. Okay, I don't. Did you see the Modern Challenge 8 to 9 first place list posted in the Discord? I didn't see it. If anyone has a link to it, I'd be interested in checking it out, though. If anyone has a link to the latest Modern Challenge list, because I don't want to dig for it myself and run around the internet. So while I'm sure we can quickly analyze the Modern Challenge. Big Monkey to the rescue. Thank you very much, Big Monkey. Sweet. Modern Challenge. So I've not seen this myself. Blue-white control. No surprise. Is it blue-white or Stoneblade? Oh no, it's what happened here? Miss Trigger wins the tournament with blue-white merfolk. Oh no, did they win? Because I know what ends up happening in the Modern Challenge is they don't show. Hold on, okay, so I want to see if they actually won first place. Well, looks like it was first place. Because sometimes they just because Miss Trigger got first place after the Swiss. Miss Trigger wins it all. Congratulations to Miss Trigger winning the whole thing with merfolk. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Actually, I can believe it. I can believe it. Blue merfolk could be the way to go here. And merfolk with Lurrus, correct? Or is it Lurrus in the main deck? Or is it just blue-white with Unsettled Mariner? This looks oh no, okay, the companion is Lurrus. This is the exact list that was being played by was it the Dogfish? Let's see, hold on. We're gonna see the other results. Sounds like there's a lot of merfolk in this top 8. Well, I have to say, I mean, I heard that there was a lot of prowess, so Unsettled Mariner probably was like a really big deal in this tournament. I played against one prowess deck, got annihilated, was not very happy about that. So we have Laplacian in the top 8. Oh, this is the Modern Challenge. I thought this was the Modern Showcase for some reason. How many people attended this thing? That's okay. So Laplacian made the 6th place. Challenge 8. Oh, I see. Not 8th place, 8-9. So first place is Merfolk. Congratulations to Miss Trigger. Fantastic finish. Got, I think this is who's the originator of this list? I think the Dogfish. How does Merfolk deal with Red Green Ponza, though, I wonder? This list might do okay. Because do you have enough islands? Not really. You have islands though. You have islands, so you have game no matter what. Well, usually, I would say Unsettled Mariner probably does help because they're sort of a clunky deck, and it'll prevent them from like hold on, how is it worded with Clothis? I'm very curious. How does Clothis work? Is it each opponent or is it target opponent? Oh, it says to each opponent. That sucks. So I thought that if it targeted you, they would have to burn a mana in order to get the ability off. So congratulations to Miss Trigger. Fantastic finish here. For some reason I thought this was the Modern Showcase. The what else do we've got here? Any other potential merfolk lists? I would like to play in these Modern challenges, especially this one, but it starts at 6 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. So I have to, like, I don't know, train myself in order to, how do I put it? I need to train myself to get to sleep early enough that I can wake up for this thing. Can we try today? No, because I still believe in my Simic list. Not only do I believe in my Simic list, but like we might not play Simic Merfolk in Modern today. We actually might be playing Legacy today. I'm going to ask my brother what he wants to see. If he doesn't want to play any Legacy, we're going to play Modern today. But if he wants to play, but if he's interested in playing interested in playing Legacy, we'll play Legacy. If Legacy is not his cup of tea, we'll play Modern. So it's actually up to my brother. But I still want to refine my Simic list because the wins are easy. The wins are, when I'm winning, it's like they're relatively easy victories. Although I have to admit, I have a big problem against prowess. I need to fix that problem. Problem is bad. But I think I have a new plan, a new sideboard plan that might help me a lot in that matchup. Yes, gross. MTG is fun, but not wake up at 5 a.m. Or like 5:30, cram in a breakfast, and then get to the computer and sign up for the Modern Challenge. What are your suggestions, Tuxdev? I'm all ears. I'm all ideas. I mean, we do have a lot of tools if we really need them. And I think if we look at this list, there might be a lot of tools against... How many tools do we have against prowess here? Harbinger of the Tides, one of the best cards. Because if you have a Vial on one, it makes it very difficult for them to know if there's a Harbinger there. If they go all in with their like spells, you can save a lot of life bouncing a creature. Merfolk Trickster, very mediocre actually in the matchup. It's actually pretty shitty. Because like the opponent can wait and see if Merfolk Trickster is going to do anything, and then I mean if you don't tap down the creature, then they can go all in with the prowess. It's hard to utilize Trickster honestly in that matchup because of you have to hold up mana, so they have to be skeptical of like even Dismember. So anyway, it's tough. Unsettled Mariner, very very good in that matchup, very good. Dismember, very good in that matchup. I would say good. I don't know if it's very good. Life loss hurts. But they have, like, the blue... Mono red... Dismember, I would say, is good against mono red prowess. Dismember is less useful against blue red prowess because they have more ways of digging to the next creature, like through Opt, for example, in addition to light up the stage. Sideboard looks great. Chalice of the Void. Echoing Truth might play a role. 3 Tidebinder Mage. Beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful. Tuxdev, in love with Tide... I love Tidebinder Mage, too. My only that's let's see what that's not a line I see out of prowess. What are you in reference to? Oh, this doesn't help when they pillage my land turn 2 then Magus. They do the mono red builds do have Magus of the Moon, but they don't run pillage. They don't run pillage. Do you think Esperfish can be a thing with Lurrus? I don't know if you'd have the mana base for it. I think you'd be better off with blue-white. What would you want to splash for black? Would be my question. What would you want to splash for black? All right. So while Niels Nielsen figures this out, it is deck list review time. Please submit your deck list, and you will be chosen at random by random.org. Again, congratulations to Miss Trigger. Beautiful result. Thank you for representing Merfolk. The only fair thing to do is choose these at random. So if you need clarity with your deck list, the community and myself are there to help you. Submit your deck list. Make sure, remember, you got to do it in a link. Don't post the deck list in the chat. Happens sometimes. Not offended or anything, but yeah, we need links, and I need to see pictures from these things. So if you have any deck lists, submit them in chat. Let's take a look. If you need some clarity, if you need to figure out what's going. If you please let me know if it's a budget deck, if maybe you can tell me what's going wrong, where the weaknesses are, what matchups you want to shore up. That would help me a lot as well. M515 here with the modern ramp jank deck. M515 let me know last night. It's got a janky deck to show off today. Good morning, Gus WF98. I think I saw. Did I see a question, or maybe it wasn't for me? That's okay. We're still waiting. Thoughts on blue-red merfolk for bolts? Very playable. But when I was playing it, it seemed more effective in a metagame that did not have large mid-range creatures. So, for example, when Eldrazi Tron was one of the best decks in the format, it seemed pretty shitty, to be honest, because your lightning bolts are not exactly dead, but they don't kill any of the creatures or nothing meaningful. I mean, you can kill Matter Reshaper, but they're going to get value anyway. And of course, Chalice of the Void still shuts it down. So Dismember is like, I would say that matchup is like really iffy as it is. And playing Lightning Bolts when Eldrazi Tron is one of the decks to beat is just not where you want to be. But Lightning Bolt overall, I think is a very good card in Merfolk. I really like the splash, and we have occasionally seen a lot of 5-0 lists from Merfolk running red for a Lightning Bolt. Because it complements the deck very well. There's a lot of games where we just struggle to finish off our opponent, and being able to rip a burn spell and just burn them in the face for victory is nice. Yeah, I'd also suggest explaining the combo if it's a jank combo with the list. I agree. I mean, I can't figure out all the combos. There's if it's a bunch of weird cards, I mean, I'm never gonna piece together the combos if I don't know what it is. Niels Nielsen said you want to play Lurrus plus Fatal Push is great for removal. So the problem is, if you're going to play with Fatal Push as well, then that means you can't take advantage of things like Cavernous Souls and Unclaimed Territory. You're definitely going to have a dedicated colored mana source. You need a mana base that has actual colors in it. So your mana base is either going to be somewhat painful because you're going to have fetches and shocks, or, well, I mean, it will be fine, but you're going to sacrifice creature lands. Like, you can't play Mutavaults in a list like this. So you're going to make sacrifices. On one hand, you're going to be way weaker to Blood Moon, and you have no access to creature lands in exchange for these Fatal Pushes and whatever. If you want to play Fatal Push, you need to play with the fetch land. So you're going to take, a decent chunk of damage. You have to make sure that going Esper is going to overcompensate for what you're going to miss just going 2 colors. All right, I think we have enough lists submitted, so let's check. We're going to pick something at random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lists. All right. And of course, you can still submit lists later. You'll be still eligible for draw. So what it is whatever number it is, I'm going to pick that first from top to bottom of the chat. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gibby 420. Historic Humans. Oh, I'm excited. Really excited for this list because I think actually there probably is some good stuff going on for humans. I've got my ass beat by humans in Historic before. Mikhaus the Lunarch, white and X, enters the battlefield. X +1/+1 counters on it. Put a +1/+1 counter on this thing by tapping it. Remove a counter from this. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Not in love with this card. Slow, clunky, very slow and clunky. I think if you're playing, I'm assuming this is going to be an aggro deck, and I think you should be more all in. And this is just a very dirtily card. Not impressed with this card at all. For 2 mana, you have a 1/1 creature that dies to anything, and not good attacker, not good defender, and you need to wait next turn. You have to tap it, which means you're not attacking with it or blocking with it. So I really do not. Right out of the gates, I don't like that card. General's Enforcer, 2 mana, 2/3 creature. Legendary humans you have are indestructible, so I guess that helps protect this thing a little bit. Each target card from a graveyard, or sorry, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, create a 1/1 white human creature, soldier creature token. This card I like a lot more. Gets out of range of stomp, 2/3 creature for 2 mana, not too bad, and maybe can protect your legendary creatures. We'll see how many legendary creatures you have. So basically, the opponent has to kill this thing before they go after the bigger things. Hero of Precinct 1, I know this card is great. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. This is basically, you know, this is like, what's it called? Deep Root Waters on a creature. And that costs 3 mana. This costs 3 mana. I mean, of course you can kill the tokens that come out, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I really like this card. This thing can help you go wide and do a lot of damage. Stormfist Crusader. Menace. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. Each player draws a card. I'm just going to assume that you can take advantage of this better than the opponent can. I'm just going to assume that, because that can be a liability. But if you're an aggro deck, now I will say this about aggro decks. Let's talk about some advantages. Card advantage means nothing if you die in the first 4 turns. Simple as that. So if each player drawing a card definitely benefits the aggro player if they can get through quickly enough, mana efficiently enough through removal. Because if the opponent is dead by turn 4, there's a lot of situations where you'd like die to a combo deck on turn 3. Like, you could have drawn all the cards you want. You could have played Ancestral Recall. It's meaningless. It's meaningless if you just lose so early before you can cast all your cards. So I'm hoping this effect interacts properly, but because it's the beginning of your upkeep, so your opponent doesn't get to draw a card on their immediate turn. General Crudro. This is a lord, great lord. Pay 2 mana, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy big creatures, enters the battlefield. Whenever General Kudro or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target creature from an opponent's graveyard. Great creature. Maybe should be a 4 of, because it's a very strong lord and it's basically a removal spell. Judith, if I remember, Judith is awesome. This is a human? Other creatures you control, it's a lord, not as good as Kudro, but whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Diva deals 1 damage to any target. Love this one. I love this lord. Maybe you could have more of these. Oh no, you have 3. That's fine. You have a lot of legendary creatures in this deck. Love this creature, because like your opponent can't win when the creatures die. So they kill your creature. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Scourge Diva deals 1 damage to any target. So there can be a situation where your opponent's really low on life. You have a bunch of creatures on the battlefield, and you make this big attack, and whatever they do, it sucks. They block, they take damage. They don't block, they lose. They play a sweeper, they lose. Taijik Legion's Edge. Haste. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. Whoops. Very, very good ability, and Legion's Edge gains first strike until end of turn. That's all fine. Haste, great. So after a board wipe, you play this thing, deal damage. Love it. Tyrannica, a Crone Veteran, Vigilance. And whenever it attacks, untap another target creature you control until end of turn. That creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. This one is like meh to me, but still pretty chunky creature, not too bad. So here's, okay, I haven't gotten to the end here, but here's my first problem. You have like nothing to do on turn 1. I think that's a really big problem for this deck. Everything you play is 2 mana or more. And I think for a deck that is especially playing with something like Stormfist Crusader, giving your opponent cards, you better be on the battlefield turn 1. You have to. So what do we got here? Haktos, the Unscarred, attacks each combat if able, enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. Haktos has protection from each converted mana cost of the chosen number. I would say screw this card. It's like a random jank card. I know it's legendary. If this had haste, I'd like it more, but very vulnerable. Well, I mean, I understand you have a lot of cards that will make it indestructible, but I think this is closer to something that you could cut, because we need to make room for 1-drops. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control fight or become blocked, draw a card. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you can pay 3. If you do, double target creature's power until end of turn. Okay, so God's Willing. That card's fine. Dire Tactics. Exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. If you don't control a human. Oh, this is just like a straight removal spell. This is a very nice one. Great mana base. I have nothing against this. What 1-drops can we suggest? Gibby. We need a 1-drop here. We need a 1-drop here. Description: zoo out and swing early, but you're gonna have trouble swinging early. Swinging by turn 3 is not swinging early. I'll tell you that right now. Swinging on turn 3, like you're starting your attack on turn 3, that is not swinging early. That's swinging late. This is more of a mid-range. Well, I mean, it's a creature-based deck, but it's more of a. So we have Fervent Champion and Dauntless Bodyguard. This is a human. First strike haste. When it attacks another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0. Do we have any other knights here for some synergy? We do have a knight. So this one's like a little meh because it only like buffs itself up, but aside from that, it's just a 1/1 creature for 1. I'm not super impressed with it. Dauntless Bodyguard, I think I'm in love with. Enters the battlefield, choose another target creature you control, sacrifice Dauntless Bodyguard. The chosen creature gains indestructible until end of turn. This is great. So good early game as pressure, good late game as missing a 1-drop sounds like Mono Blue Merfolk. Yeah, I know. Is Kithian in the format? Yeah, this is not available in Historic yet. So Dauntless Bodyguard, great addition, I think, could be to this deck. Human. Well, it's also a human and a knight. So, I mean, between Dauntless Bodyguard and the other thing, what's it called? Here's all the 1 manas in Historic. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. JZ1. Okay, so we have Anointed, whatever, not useful. Lifelink, not useful. We want aggro. Dauntless Bodyguard, great. Additional cost to casting this, reveal a pirate. Probably don't have any. I'm just glancing at these things. Dragon Master Outcast. Beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, not an aggro card. I think we need to be within Mardu. Giant Killer. Giant Killer is not too bad because it's like whatever, not the most beautiful card, but has a lot of useful abilities attached and can randomly be a creature destructing spell. Grim Lavamancer, maybe. What else do we have? Fervent Champion. Do you know what? Between Fervent Champion and Dauntless Bodyguard, I think combined, plus the other knight, we actually might have something there. What is this? 0/3, 1/2, 1/2. Defender. As long as it's equipped, can attack, no good. Soul Warden, interesting. This one's close. Thieves Guild Enforcer. As long as the opponent has 8 or more cards, this thing's really big. Oh, Venerable Knight. This is also good. Dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target knight you control. I actually like that one. Oh, but you don't have that many knights. But still a 1 mana, 2/1 creature. So I don't know which one's going to end up being better, Fervent Champion or Venerable Knight, but those are definitely options. And then if we go back to this deck, maybe get rid of... I don't know if you need so many Gods Willing. You definitely have to chop off this top end. So if you like, we have 8 cards right here. If you take out the 8 cards here, you can have your one. You can just play out with all your 1-drops. Because I think you have relatively good protection with the other cards. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is that Thalia apparently is in the board. Where is the sideboard? I don't see a sideboard here. But whatever. So the but anyway, that's my advice. We need 1-drops. And I think your aggro plan will work in this archetype. And also, what the hell is up with this green double green crap? How do you get this in play? Like you'll make your mana base way better if you don't have to bullshit around with the double green stuff. Destiny Spinner, you know what? You can live without these cards, honestly. Isn't there like, I don't know, maybe there is not a heroic intervention. I don't even know if you even care about heroic intervention, because ideally, if you're aggressive enough, Judith is just going to kill your opponent if they wipe the board. I'm not sure if anything else has like indestructible, but maybe. I can't. What's the interaction here? If General's Enforcer is on the battlefield and the opponent plays a board wipe, does it wipe the entire board? Or does it just wipe out General's Enforcer? Someone please help me. Is it worth it to have something like God's Willing when there's so many creatures? Well, that's the thing. I don't think there's enough synergy for this card. You get to scry. It's convenient because you can, if the format is full of clunky removal, it's nice. It is. 1 mana, basically like counter target spell that targets your creature. It's okay, but I don't think it's like, I would play 1-drop in this place. If it's damage based, it wipes the board. Okay, that I can believe. So if it's Supreme Verdict, it survives. If it's Anger of the Gods, everything dies. So anyway, I think there's enough protection here. Just get rid of the top end here. Play 8 1-mana spells. That's good. You'll be good. Sweet list. Good luck. Thanks for sharing. Nice stuff. Here with Coffee and MTG, we're at deck list review time. So you've got a deck list. You can submit it. You'll be eligible for it to get reviewed. We're doing the fair thing, and we're picking them at random. Okay, so I'm going to count the number of lists still available. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7. Let's go to the next one. All right. Good luck, everyone. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Congratulations, Nardoto. Let's go check out your list. Oh, we got a merfolk list. Feel like I never see merfolk lists in the deck list review. What's the format? Simic, Merfolk, Will. Okay. Oh, modern. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Oh, Sultai. Let's go check out Sultai Merfolk. Kumena Speaker. Lord of Atlantis. Merfolk Mistbinder, Merfolk Trickster, Reejery, Silver Gill Adapt, 3 Dismember. And we've got the mana base of Botanical Sanctum, Flooded Strand, 5 Island. Oh, beautiful champs. Mutavault, Oboro, Waterlog Grove. 4 Aquatex Well, 3 Smuggler's Copter. Hold on. Is this really Sultai? Oh, it's only... it's naming it Sultai because of Dismember. There's nothing wrong with this list. If you want to run this list, it's a good list. I would probably suggest replacing the Oboro with another island. Just because of all the Ponza that's out there. Like, if you have room for this Oboro, I would just rather it was an island. I understand it has synergy with Smuggler's Copter. So, you know, if you want to keep it, that's fine, but I don't have any strong opinions about this. Echoing Truth. No, I can't get behind this. Brazen Borrower, please. What is Echoing Truth good for anymore these days? I don't think Echoing Truth does anything good. I don't think Echoing Truth does anything better than like overall than like Brazen Bar, where it's a complete, unless you are on a budget and you just can't afford it. I mean, you don't have Chalice of the Void in the sideboard, so that might be the case. Nardoto. Speak to me, Nardoto. Speak to me. I also think Seas is still well positioned right now. There's still Eldrazi-tron, but we might be. I don't know. I don't know where Eldrazi-tron is moving. I think Eldrazi-tron is still one of the better decks in the format, which is why I still can't get rid of Aquatex Will. But I have to say, recently, you know, playing really mana efficiently with my Simic Merfolk deck is bringing in a lot of W's. A lot of W's. And Aquatex Will moves in that direction. It does move in that direction. This is the cards I have. All right. In that case, your list is great. Thank you very much for sharing it. It's a beautiful one. Let's look at the mana base. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. You know what? I feel like you're a little off on green sources. One, you need more breeding pools. Or you need more fetch lands to get this one breeding pool. You probably should have one more breeding pool. Good morning, JDX the kid. Tuxev says, Will is a card you want to cast rather late. Yeah, but you do that anyway with Spreading Seas. Like that's the point. That's why I suggested we look into Aquatex Will a long time ago. Because you're doing that with Spreading Seas anyway. Except Aquatex Will, you at least have the ability on turn 3, play a Lord, play Aquatex Will, you know, swing in for some damage. Because you could do, for example, turn 2 Silvergill Adept, turn 3 Aquatex Will, utilize your 1 mana, and then play Lord of Atlantis and attack. Because, you know, one way or another, you're usually playing spread. You're not playing Spreading Seas on turn 1. We won't do that anyway with Aquatex Will. And also, Aquatex Will is going to be played late in the game the same way that Spreading Seas is played late in the game. Well, it's a cycler card. I can understand. I mean, of course, Spreading Seas Spreading Seas has its advantages, but more clunky. I mean, if I like I said, like I talked about Aquatex Will a few months ago. Like, it's close, but like I would put it this way, because there's less creature lands in the format than there has ever been in a very long time. There's like less Celestial Colonnades. There's less like Raging Ravines. It's so hard. It's much harder to mana screw a Jund player these days because of Wrenn and 6. They can just play. They can play fetch line turn 1, crack it at end of turn, play their Wrenn and 6 turn 2, get the fetch line. Basically, you never mana screw them. If there was no Tron lands in the format, I would seriously look at this card, very seriously. But because there's Tron lands, and especially since we still have to defeat cards like Blast Zone in Eldrazi Tron, Spreading Seas is just too important. But if this is all the cards you have, I don't think there's anything like that. That would be the only criticism. But I think the list is fine. The list is solid. I think you need more green sources, though. How many green sources do I play? I think 10 green sources and 4 Ether Vial is just cutting it a little close. Which is why I play like 3 Mutavault and at least like a few other green sources. I think you should... if I could add something, I would add more green sources. No, but Karsten's not accounting for Ether Vial. Ether Vial can count as a green source in our deck. Well, I mean, I guess, okay, well, in that case, our opponent does have enough, but you have to account either... I have a few more green sources because I'm siding out some number of Ether Vials in a lot of matchups. So in that case, I would want just a few more to guarantee that I can get everything out. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should innovate and play with more islands. See how many islands I can play so I don't get screwed by Ponza. Maybe I can play 6 islands. Maybe that's possible. Maybe I can play with 7 islands if I take out the Mutavault. Maybe that's a direction I've never tried, but so far I'm pretty happy with my mana base. Anyway, thank you very much for the submission. It's great stuff. Good luck with the list. Should I look at... You know what? Let's go back. Play more Tidebinder Mages. This has got to be more important than, say... Play one more over Echoing Truth. I think you only... Like, Echoing Truth's sole purpose is just a bounce and ensnaring bridge, and you can do fine with just having 2 of them. I think Tidebinder Mage is more than well positioned right now in the format. You could go up on them, and maybe even go down to, well, I am very fearful of the burn matchup, but if you need more Tidebinder Mages, you could probably cut one Weather the Storm and add another Tidebinder Mage. Tidebinder Mage actually is probably very underrated right now. I know I'm not playing it, but I do believe that Tidebinder Mage is pretty good right now. Yes, you need that turn 1 pressure. Agreed. Okay, so any more lists? We'll definitely go through one more. So I count there's no change in the list, so we go down to 6. Going down to 6 people. You're welcome, Nardoto. Good luck. All right. Where are we at? 6. Number 6. The absolute bottom. The bottom list. Where's the bottom list? Jazz 1. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't a list. Okay, we have to re-roll. This was I thought this link was to a list. Okay, re-roll, re-roll. Okay, hold on. Maybe I got to recount these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's just 5. Reroll. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Navi Nico. Check out your list, Navi Nico. Oh, we got a Jund list. What is the format? Navi Nico, what is the format? No, it's okay. JZ1, you're all good. It was my fault. I forgot that you sent a link instead of a deck list. Yeah, it looks like 4s and 6s this morning. JLT, you're talking like my brother. He likes looking for patterns in randomization. Random.org loves the even numbers today. Is this Pioneer? Oh, it says Pioneer Jund. All right, cool. Grimflare, Croxa. Yeah, you get access to Croxa in Pioneer, don't you? Satyr Wayfinder, Scavenging Ooze, 2 Luris, 2 Kalitas. Right off the bat, this creature base looks great. This looks so powerful. I don't know how Scavenging Ooze interacts very well in the format, but holy shit, these are all powerful cards. Satyr Wayfinder, do not underestimate this card. Very good in this. It looks like very, very, very good synergy between Croxa, Grimflare, and Luris. Love that idea. Liliana, Waker of the Dead. Each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. It's an okay ability, but not great. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. That actually is going to be pretty good. It's very similar to Chandra, to be honest. The 4-mana Chandra. 4 Fatal Push to eliminate 3 Kolaghan's Command. 4 Thoughtseize. Sideboard 3 Soul Guide Lantern, Assassin's Trophy, Legion's End, Ashiok. Okay, what is this one? Necromentia. Choose a card name other than a basic land card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library, then creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card. So you're just looking. This is like an anti-combo card. Cards with that name, exile them. It's like Unmoored Ego. That player shuffles their library and creates. It's very much like Unmoored Ego. So if instead of them getting cards, you get the 2/2 creature, but it's mono black. Good card, Kalitas. Leyline of the Void. I'm gonna take a wild guess that you probably need if you have Leyline in the Void in your sideboard, maybe you should want a 3rd one. I don't know how graveyard heavy the format is right now because it's like a brand new format. But I bet you don't need the 3rd Kalitas. It's probably going to end up being clunky. But I don't know your sideboard strategy. Maybe in some situations you need to take out a bunch of removal or something, and you bring in Kalitas to fill up the top. But if it's just here arbitrarily, I would play with more Leylines. Where's your mana base? I do not see a mana base here. This is very odd. Usually there's a mana base attached to these things. Oh, you know what? Here's a great 5x5 says less soul guides, more ley lines. You know what? That's a good point. Maybe we don't need more ley lines if you already got soul guide lantern in the deck. So I would say 5 is a good number of graveyard hate. But anyway, this looks like too much. I don't know what the extra card you should have. Maybe another Ash. Well, I mean, this is graveyard hate too. So we don't need more graveyard hate. I take it all back. We have like tons of graveyard hate. Maybe more anti-combo hate. Maybe another Necromentia, because this is anti-combo. You still need to beat combo in the format. They didn't actually completely ban off the Lotus Breach deck, so that can be one way of combating that. So maybe 4 Necromentia. I don't know. Actually, do you know what? You don't have Duress here. Like, I don't think you have a good anti-combo package here. I mean, you have 4 Thoughtseize, and that's it. Yeah, well, yeah, the sideboard. I love the main deck. I don't know what the mana base is. It doesn't seem to be available here. Do I have to zoom out? Nope. Come on, people, you gotta give us the mana base, because the mana base, there's a lot of mistakes in these deck submissions I see in the mana base, definitely. So yeah, Duress, I think maybe minus the Kalidas, add a Duress or something. You have so much graveyard hate. If you have too much, maybe one more -1 Soul Guide Lantern, another Duress, because those are still good cards. Vanifair. What is Vanifair? Come on, people. You got to give me exact names. Vanifar? Oh, it's completely different. This is completely different, Monster CC. Vanifar? Oh, this Vanifar? Well, this is a Jundless. Has no business in there. Or Ratchet Bomb is a possibility. Well, anyway, main deck is beautiful. I actually really like the look of this list. I don't know how effective this Liliana is going to be, but I can tell by the rest of these cards. I really like the look of it. Maybe it needs more removal. I can't tell how it's going to play out. Maybe it needs more removal. And if it does need more removal, something I might cut is like a few Scavenging Oozes, because I really believe in all the other cards. This is like your Tarmogoyf. Satyr Wayfinder is hiddenly like a really, really good card. I like Vraska or Last Hope way more. Yeah, but Last Hope, you know what? Last Hope looks good. Like, it looks good for Modern, but I don't think it's nearly as good in Pioneer. I think Liliana Last Hope is very slow. Now Vraska is a different story. Vraska is actually really powerful. What is it? You're talking about Vraska Golgari Queen? So it like says destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. Very often just going to be like, you know, destroy target permanent, and you can sacrifice another permanent, draw cards. I mean, you can sacrifice things like, oh, whoops, I screw up. You can sacrifice things like your Satyr Wayfinder late in the game, and you bring it back with your Luris. Fantastic. So definitely, here, let's get the Vraska back. Definitely Vraska is a really good candidate for an archetype like this. If I remember correctly, the emblem is a real beating. You get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Holy fuck. It's over. I mean, that now, if you want an ultimate that wins the game, that literally is it. That is literally it. I was just asking about what combo is left in Pioneer. There is Lotus Breach is still, sorry, Lotus Field is still a deck. They lost the Breach, but they can still they're still around. Good point though. Good point. But still, like, it seems like the sideboard is overloaded for graveyard decks, which can be fine if there's a lot, whatever. But I don't know if you need the Kalidas. Well, whatever. It's also good against control to have hand disruption. Hand disruption works both ways. And this actually is pretty good against control too, because making the opponent discard cards is a really big deal. So really cool deck list. Anyway, those are my only suggestions. We love the main deck. Really good stuff. Hope all of that. I hope that was valuable. I hope that was useful. Some useful feedback for everyone who submitted deck lists today. So yeah, that was some great conversations. That's going to be it for today. But don't worry, if you're watching live, we're going to move directly into gameplay. Where is my brother? Did he message me? Is he on the way? Oh my God. Maybe he slept in today. What is he doing? Are you on the way? because he's going to be the one that determines if we're playing modern or if we're playing legacy. But for everyone watching on the replay on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching. I'm definitely going to be thanking all my patrons supporting me on Patreon, and also the Twitch subscribers subscribed on Twitch. And we're also going to thank our sponsors, themadbase.com and Mana Traders. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, here for Coffee and MTG. Take care of yourselves. See you next time.